your MMQB gave a lot of detail of the Steelers' pursuit of Rodgers, and I guess it really wasn't a pursuit, right? Like you were saying that they've been lockstep since his appearance at the facility in March, Albert?
Yeah. And I think this is something where there was a level of trust that Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan and the guys in Pittsburgh were able to establish with Aaron early on. Now they did throw their hat in the ring on Matthew Stafford. They were like, pretty much everybody else. The Giants and Raiders were sort of in this category too, where it was like, do we really think that he's going to leave Los Angeles? Do we really think that he's going to leave Sean McVay? No. So like they did touch base with the Rams about potentially trading for Matthew Stafford, but they never really believed that was going to happen. Then there was the Justin Fields thing, which like I think they'd made the decision they were going to move on from Russell Wilson, and then okay, what do you do about Justin Fields? I think they still wanted to keep working with Justin. But the question was, do we want to commit lock, stock, and barrel to Justin being our quarterback in 2025? I think that's where it got a little murkier. And I think they knew that if some team was willing to do that, like the Jets were, then they'd be probably moving on from Justin Fields as well. And now what do you do? And here's the way I look at it, Rich. If you have the roster, they do. And you have TJ Watt, who's going to be 31. You have Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's going to be 29. You have DK Metcalf on his third contract. You have Cam Hayward at the end. Do you really want to swing for a single or a double? All due respect, like, do you want to go get Daniel Jones? Do you want to look at trading for Kirk Cousins? They did inquire on Cousins. Or do you want to swing for the fences? If you know you've only got one or two shots left with this core of players, are you looking for the home run or are you looking for the base hit? And I think that's what this was we are looking for the home run. And maybe we'll swing and miss, but it won't be for lack of trying. That we get, again, Hayward and Watt and Metcalf and those guys, the best answer we possibly can. So they really started talking, in March, and they were able to establish a level of trust. They tried to quietly bring him into the building on March 21st. It wound up getting out, but I think if you read in the story, there were some interesting details to what they did to try to get him in quietly. And from there, I mean, they've been talking regularly to the point where Arthur Smith has been building an offense for the last 3 months with Aaron Rodgers in mind. So, I think that level of trust was there. I never sensed any doubt on the Steelers end that this was going to get done. Now, they had to say publicly, we don't know. But I feel a pretty good degree of certainty that they felt like all along this was going to happen. And they let him know, it's important to us that you're here for the mandatory minicamp, and he agreed to it. And here we are.
And here we are. He has shown up. So what's your questions? If you I don't think you're going to be there tomorrow, but he's going to be talking on Tuesday. What questions do you want to hear answered from Rodgers?
Well, I think we have respect for his personal situation, and obviously he has some things that if he wants to volunteer those, he can. But they were the main reason he stayed away, right? Like, so, I think a big piece of it, and I know one of the questions would be, well, why didn't you just sign in April? I think what happened with the Jets last year left a mark on him. And this is just putting some pieces together on my part, but like, if you look at, it's actually interesting. You look at it, right? And he was at the Jets offseason program for 8 weeks last year, and he missed the mandatory minicamp. And the reason he missed the mandatory minicamp was because of the prearranged trip to Egypt, like we've all talked about. He had talked through that with the Jets guys, and they basically decided not to move the minicamp because they felt like if they moved the minicamp up, then no one was going to show up the week after. So it was either have one guy missing the last week or have everyone missing the last week, So they made the calculated decision, we'll just call it an inexcused absence. And they didn't, I don't think that they really figured that it would blow up the way that it did. And I think a lot of the Jets people would tell you right now, that they think that people were being unfair to Aaron because they would tell you, well, Lamar Jackson didn't show up for any of the Ravens offseason program last year. Then he shows up for the 3-day minicamp and it's all good. Yet our guy is here for 8 weeks, misses the 3-day minicamp. And that is a storyline that carries into August and September and October. Does that seem right? Like, so I think that was part of the reasoning for Aaron and the timing of all of this being what it was. And he did, again, need to handle that those personal matters that he was dealing with, which is why, like, okay, like instead of me signing in April and not showing up to anything, let's just wait for me to be all in and then I'll sign.
Right.
And that took a great deal of trust. So I think that level of trust between the Steelers and Rodgers is something that I want to explore more if I was talking to him. And then what have you done to get yourself ready? What have your conversations with Mike Tomlin been like, with Arthur Smith been like? And what have you done to keep yourself ready to play football? Because I do know this, like, having covered Tom Brady, over the years, having covered Peyton Manning as he got older, I know it took a tremendous amount for those guys to keep themselves in a position to perform at a high level. So, what has Aaron been doing away from the facility to kind of keep himself ready to go for, when the time came to sign, which obviously was Friday.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.